So we've got coming back here with probably the coolest thing I've seen, and I've seen a lot at this expo. But I'm gonna just be all honest. Moonstone has basically blown me away. We got the creator of Moonstone to introduce us, Tom Broomway. Okay, so Tom, tell us a little bit about Moonstone.
So Moonstone is the wonderfully whimsical fancy skirmish game. So if you like movies like The Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, whimsical fairy tale, occasionally dark in places but also extremely silly in other places, we've got really, really lovely we've got it all.
Yeah, it's amazing artwork. Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about just this the lore. Just gives a little broader. What is this world?
So the world is Torba. So it's this quaint, kind of almost Renaissance era world. You know, if you imagine slashy puffed sleeves and timber frame higgledy-piggledy buildings,
Yeah.
it's set in that kind of era. It's generally quite a peaceful, sweet world. It's little cozy farmsteads and taverns, and the goblins, maybe they don't really like the humans, and maybe the humans and the gnomes think that the goblins are going to steal from them, but they get on okay.
Okay.
It's not like total war, it's not death and destruction. But recently there has been a bloom of moonstones.
Okay.
And the moonstones grow in the middle of the night. They kind of poke their head up like icebergs out of the ground and they glow. And they were, in times gone by, just a bit of a curiosity. But the wizards in the Tower of Grommel have started paying a huge sum of money for anyone who will collect the moonstones and bring them to them.
Very cool.
At least at the start of the story, nobody knows why, nobody cares. They just know if I collect a moonstone and I take it to the wizards, they're going to give me, the value of a prize pig, or maybe for a big hoard of moonstones, I can buy a new house. They're really valuable. So this otherwise peaceful, sweet kind of place is suddenly started having little fights breaking out. When everybody sees the moonstones glowing at dawn, try and harvest them. Things are starting to get a little bit of fisticuffs are coming out, and sometimes people are getting hurt because they all want to get the precious moonstones. What the moonstones are being used for by the wizards is going to be something which rolls out in the storyline. So in our first rule book, it's just a collection of short stories that kind of set the scene of the world. Our first expansion book, which is the Rising.
Welcome to the world of Moonstone. I was very impressed with the interview of Moonstone. That just to follow up on it, I also want to just put in a little presentation to talk about some of the specifics that the creator didn't get into. So what is Moonstone? So Moonstone, as he was going into, is an award-winning skirmish game for 2 to 4 players. Seeking to, which sees sort of this fairy tale inspired characters, and they're all in search of these moonstones. Now, to keep this video short, I'm not going to get into the lore of Moonstone. I've watched some videos on the lore, and it's really cool. I really love the take on it. And yeah, so we're gonna just keep it very basic today. I did think that it last year won the best miniatures range and the best miniatures rules. And I think from what he is talking, and I did my own research on their website, I have to agree with that best, because one, these miniatures are amazing, and two, the rules, although I haven't played yet, I did breeze through them, are really cool. So there's a few things as well I want to talk about that really excited me about Moonstone, and we'll get into that. So one, as he was going into, I'm not going to go all off into the details. I do suggest looking up some lore videos on Moonstone, but it does take place in this land of Tabor. It's a mystical island where fantasy and fairy tale, where humans, goblins, fairies, gnomes, giants, fauns, trolls, merfolk, and more all thrive under the golden sun and the perescent moons. So you can sort of read it in here. He does talk about how Moonstone is sort of he does kind of go, it is a bit of a lighthearted, but I've read some of the lore, and actually some of the lore gets pretty detailed and pretty in-depth. So there is a darker side to Moonstone that I like. And so that while it is quirky, just reading some of the backgrounds, reading some of the lore, it does find that nice balance between fun and whimsical, and also dark. I love that he picked up things like the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. I think those are two great examples of two movies and genres that are very whimsical, but also certainly have a darker side to them. So just want to cover some of the lore right there. You can read into it, and I again encourage you, watch some lore videos. Let's just go into a couple of the factions. So the Commonwealth is the largest faction in Tabor, primarily because the powerful nobles own much of the land. Although the Commonwealth mainly consists of humans, gnomes, and giants, any and all are technically allowed to join its ranks. So this is sort of your standard, I would say standard, but really all of the models, and as you go into this in detail, are really, really detailed. Even the human factions here are so cool. So then we have the Dominion. After the fall of the Forgotten King and the destruction of Moonreach, the Commonwealth quickly became the dominant faction on Tabor. Their good intentions failed, and other denizens felt an oppression over them yet again. So this is the alliance. So you get into the lore. This is the alliance of the Goblin King and Diana, the Queen of the Fae. You can read into that more, but I love that they are bringing in the goblins and the elves have sort of came together in this tentative alliance. Yeah, really cool faction of the True Dominion. And then we have the Leshvault. I hope I'm saying it correctly. This is a colorful and varied collection of individuals, are worshippers of Tabor's natural deity, Leshavid. They always have been in Tabor, but rarely involve themselves in the politics of the land, favoring the simpler ways of life connected to nature. So one of the things that I like about this one is sort of this combination of a little bit of Fae, a little bit of it's really hard to. This is the faction that I like the most because you can't really quite put this. It says the cult of the Leshafid leans towards entropy, chaos, death, embracing Leshafid's destructive nature, and are bound to crush or convert all those opposed to his will. Yeah, as opposed to the worshippers of Lesh believe in the need for balance and revere nature. Now, I know, so it's an interesting combination of maybe a little chaos, but also a little bit of like wood elves. I love that all these factions, they don't have a pure good in them. You can see there's sort of some, quote, traditional evil factions and traditional good factions in all of them. So one of the things that really, so let's just talk about the gameplay. So one, each of the players are going to get 4 to 6 beautifully crafted miniatures, which as you can see, I've just shown a few. I mean, go on this website. These miniatures are amazing. And so each of them have unique abilities. Playing on a 3x3 board, so this is a skirmish game. Attempting to secure as basically as many moonstones as possible. So one, there's alternate activations. Both players are basically kept, so with that alternate activations, and we'll get into also how the actions are resolved through cards. Really seems, I haven't played it yet, but it seems to be a really engaging experience. So again, one of the most unique features are the arcane and the melee decks. So unlike most war games, Moonstone does not resolve its abilities or melee by rolling dice or hitting a target. Instead, there's an arcane and melee action to resolve. Both players, they draw cards from this deck, and they attempt to outplay each other through a combination of guessing, bluffing, playing cards face down. And that's really cool that this isn't... I love that this combination of... And I haven't played it yet, but I love this idea of... I've played other little card bluffing games, like Coup, and I love this idea of maybe a little bit of that feeling. I'm looking forward to playing the game, but needless to say, I think it's cool, the card mechanic. I think so. Those two features. One, it's a very unique world, and two, it's got some very unique mechanics in there. So I do love it. So one of the best things about Moonstone, I think, is great is that, and we're going to get into how you can get into this game. Yeah, you can certainly purchase the rulebook and purchase miniatures. That's fine. What I love about Moonstone is that they offer the basic rulebook. They offer character paper standees. This is all free on their website. So in other words, if you just want to test out Moonstone, you really don't have to commit any money. They've got the Moonstone custom cards. So we talked about that. They actually just give you PDF printouts so that you can put together your own custom card deck. They give you the character sheets, stats, they give you the official errata, and they give you the organized play document, which we'll get into. They also give you some additional scenarios as well. So first of all, while I'm sure having the book and the miniatures are going to obviously make the experience a lot better, I love the fact that Moonstone approaches it from I feel, as best I can tell, zero cost to get into Moonstone. If you want to try Moonstone, cost nothing. So I know that I am going to be getting into Moonstone. I may go ahead and just buy some of the books just because I want to get the artwork. But I love this approach, a zero cost approach to the game. This is awesome here. Another of the things that we didn't get into with the interview, I had to cut the interview just to kind of cover things. But one of the things I love that the creator talked about was their commitment to balance. They really are interested. They do weekly tournaments, and one of the things they do is they track faction percentages, win percentages. So they're very interested in taking this data-driven approach to balance. And for a game, it's so amazing that so many other creators talk about balance, but I really feel that the creator, and I know one of his co-creators or one of the people on his team is actually a statistician, I think by his job. So they are very interested in making this game balanced, and I love their commitment to competitive balance in this game. Of course, you can play for fun, but I think that's what really drew me to Moonstone is and I consider this to be a commitment to competitive balance. So obviously you can play the game for free, but you can also just buy the rulebook for about $32. I've looked into the rulebook. It looks terrific. Just some really wonderful illustrated pages. Got the scenarios, characters, as well as background. So it's got maps. I've looked at some YouTube videos about the lore, and I like the lore. The lore's really solid. It really finds that balance between the whimsical and sort of the dark as well. I love it. There's also no expansion here that you can grow, and that's the thing. Like, of course, you can go buy these books, but I love the fact that before you ever spend a penny, you can try this game. See if you like it. So there's the additional book, The Arising, which looks like an expansion book as well. And then you've got your Moon deck. So although you can print it, this is going to be $20. This is probably, if you didn't want to do some of your custom printing, I think that if you really wanted to find a nice balance, you could basically spend $20 to just get the game card deck. So that's great. And then, of course, they've got some factions. So I think some of their starters start in the $40 range. You can buy individual models, but it looks like a lot of their starters. So this is the Mystics. And you can see each of these models look just great. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say the models will look awesome. They seem to fall in about the $40 range for these starters. So here we've got some black powders. And there's basically sub-factions within all of these factions as well here. So then the Masquerade, and then we've got, sort of the Blood Magic, and then the Enclave, and then the Shadow Glaive as well. So yeah, just a lot going on. That these starter sets seem to run between the $30 to about the $50 range, which is very reasonable here. So again, just wanted to keep this short here, but I very well may be making additional Moonstone content as well. If you want to learn more, go to Moonstone the Game to get started. Thank you so much.